Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Brandon from Audio Addiction. Thank you for joining me tonight. I have been patiently awaiting this album, Superlove, their new album, Follow Noise. I also want to give this sneak peek right at the beginning, of course. I had the lovely opportunity of getting to interview Superlove. That will be coming out later this month, so you can check back with the channel for that. I have been working patiently behind the scenes to get them on the channel, and it finally happened, and I'm completely overjoyed having them on. Like, it was a bucket list thing for me, and they were gonna send me this album early, but I figured, listen, I need to check this out in its full glory live on release day. So I left links below. Please go support Superlove. Again, one of the best bands out there that you don't know of, and I'm hoping that they have a great year this year, because let me tell you, these Go Easier and Something Good, I have been in my rotation for such a long time, and they're insanely amazing tracks. So I feel like that goes without saying. And it's probably going to show my bias to this band. Colors was my favorite album that came out 2 years ago, roughly, maybe a little bit less. But I have been listening to that album a ton. So why not add this to the list? And obviously it gives me a good excuse to listen to this album all day tomorrow, so I'm very excited. But if you guys stayed up and joined me for this, thank you very much. I do greatly appreciate it. Also, if you do hear some like light breeze sound, I'm currently in my room and it gets very hot, and I just feel not ready to put in my AC unit in my window yet, so I have the fan blowing on me, so I'm really excited. I feel good. But anyway, we're going to get into the first track. This one is called You. I have not listened to this one yet. This is a brand new song to me. So, without further ado, let's hop into this. I'm so excited. Oh, this is great. All right. So different. Ooh. This falsetto is tight. This is so good already. Start off strong. Oh, this chorus hits. Ooh, this halftime beat. I guess it would be a slow down, not halftime. I love that ascending riff, so tight. They weren't kidding about this being polished. So good. Ooh. This EDM like riser kind of thing. You guys are not going to make album of the year this year easy. Oh my god. This is so good. I know I keep saying it, but genuinely, like, they continually impress me as a band. I don't know how they do it, but this one, I think amongst the songs that I've listened to, which being Go, Easier, and Something Good, those all had this level of catchiness that I felt like Colors had a great level of catchiness, but I do feel like with this album, they have somehow found even more catchiness in the process of writing this album. This song immediately hooked me in. I think that really cool, like, electronic, like, beat going on in the track really kind of carries throughout the song. You know, it kind of keeps the same sort of even keel sort of vibe, but I think it really kind of ties everything together in that way. And I can definitely tell this is going to be amongst my favorites, just because I think the level of the way that it just kind of inserts you in the song immediately, doesn't really ask any questions, it just kind of jumps right into it. And I think that's what I love mostly about the track. It just mostly Jacob's vocals from what I could gather. Some really cool, like, vocal layering effects too, because it seemed like it was almost doubled in some places where I feel like there was a little bit of vocal effects going on to make that separation a little bit more interesting, a little bit, I want to say more palatable, but a little bit more varied, a little bit more interesting. So absolutely love that about the track as well. The drumming on this song, peak. But I would say the best part of this song was the chorus. I think that absolutely smacks. It's very similar to why the reason I think I love Easier now. When I first listened to it, I felt like it was a good song, but there was something there. And as I kept listening to Easier, it kept getting, like, no pun intended, it got easier to listen to and I got more invested in it. And I think with this song, it's just kind of like the culmination of that, where there is just this way of it, of that kind of like either 8-string or baritone guitar really making its presence in this song that I just really appreciate a lot. And I think it adds this sort of just spatialness to the track that I don't feel like a lot of pop artists or, like, even in the, like, alt scene really does in that way. And I think it plays with the dynamics in such an interesting way from, I think, a musicality perspective that you almost inherently, like, just, like, kind of like bob your head and feel the track out, just because I think there is that level of dynamics that is brought out in songs like this. So I think this track is great. I think is arguably one of the strongest starts to their material, and I would say it's an extremely strong start for the album in and of itself. Having the 3 singles kind of follow this one up, I'm really excited. There's some other ones that they mentioned in the interview that I'm excited to delve into as we go through the album. But man, you started off the album great. I gotta say, I'm excited to listen to the rest of them that aren't singles, because those are the ones I haven't listened to. So we are going to get into the next track, which is Go. This is track 2 off of Follow Noise. I'll leave links in the description since they're already there. So go check them out. Show love to the boys. But let's get into Go. Oh, so sick. So sick. I love that riff.
Can you see the light? Keep it up, go on, son. You can pull out all the stops. The win is never enough. The win is never enough. Go, 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 cross the finishing line. No false starts will leave you behind. Whoa, yeah, just give it a try. Go, 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 get it and keep it up.
Oh, this song rips.
So start again, keep it in. Sometimes I wish someone
Such a
would
punchy
tell
track.
me what's
Love it.
right. 'Cause this ain't a life. 'Cause I wanna be the one to show you something good can work
I like chunky bass riff in the background. Oh.
Feels like go, 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 cross the finishing line. Never start to leave you behind. Whoa, yeah, just give it a try. Go, 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 yeah, and keep it up, 'cause I know this race is one you can win. When you reach the top, where will it end? Oh my God, the things I
That straight beat.
cross the finish line, straight off the edge. Go, 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 cross the
so chunky.
finishing line. Never start to leave you behind. Whoa, yeah, just give it a try. Go, 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 yeah, and keep it up. So go, 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 cross the finishing line. Never start to leave you behind. Whoa, yeah, just give it a try. Go, 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 yeah, and keep it up, 'cause I know this race is one you can win. When you reach the top, where will it end? Oh my God, they've done it again. Cross the finish line, straight off the edge.
Oh, such a good song. Guys, if you're just tuning in, that was track 2 off of Superlove's newest album, Follow Noise. You can check the links in the description. Go pick it up. I'm so excited to get the vinyl as well as the shirt I bought. So big salutes to the boys. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I'm just really stoked right now. So this song I already did a reaction video for, so if I didn't seem as hyped about this song, I would definitely recommend checking out the reaction video, because that was when I first listened to it, and I've beaten it into the ground since this point. I think this one, they had said that this one is probably the best song for new listeners to kind of give a good idea of this song. And while I do partially agree with them, I would also say Something Good is another song to listen to that I feel like gives you a good idea of what Superlove brings to the table. But I do think this is a great selection, certainly. The thing that I think I really enjoyed about this song was it just kind of feels like a more polished version of Save Yourself off of Colors, the first song after that intro track. I really feel like it kind of borrows similarities from that really chunky, riffy guitar parts, but also at the same point, really fun, very vibey. The verses give a lot more of the bass work from Jacob, having more of a vibe from that in the verses, and then having more of a just big presence from Jonathan in the choruses, as well as their drummer. I believe his name is Tom. Having more of that punch in the choruses of the song, which I think really they do a great job of hammering home choruses. I think that they in the interview I just said that their knowledge of dynamics, I think, is really what I think keeps me guessing, keeps me excited, and I think that's what always puts a smile on my face in terms of their music, because dynamically it's so in your face. And in the interview we kind of talked about how much they borrowed from another great UK band, if you haven't heard of them, Lower Than Atlantis. So I feel like if you like that band, you're probably gonna like this band. There's a very good chance you'll find a lot of love or similarities to what they do, because I think they are taking pop in this really interesting way, but also at the same point really bringing in a lot of heavy elements and stuff like that. So I think they just blend it super well, where if you're if you're kind of like more of a metalcore head like myself, you're gonna enjoy those parts of the song. But also if you're really into pop music, I think you're gonna really love the difference of dynamics, as well as kind of the more pop melodies that are inspired throughout the songs that I've listened to currently, and I imagine very similarly with the album. It just has that sort of pop feeling to it. So absolutely love that. Again, chorus was super, super massive. The breakdown in that bridge portion was always fun. Every time that part comes up in the song, oh, it just hits me in the chest with those just oonga boonga riffs. I love it. So, I think this one does a great job of kind of culminating the album. You know, every time that I've gone through and listened to the singles, I'm just like, how far are they gonna go? What direction are they gonna go in? And this was the first one to release, so I feel like it kind of gives you a good, I would say a good starting point from the album, but just to have it start off with You First, getting to this song, the transition is really tight, and I really like that a lot about this song. But yeah, overall, really fun track. I feel like it's going to be very difficult to pick my favorites off this album. I can already feel it, but this one was very fun, energetic, super punchy. Guitar work was on point, drumming was on point, bass was on point. I think just kind of, again, dynamically, this is a very intense song, so I think it works well with, you know, the vibe of Superlove if you check them out. So we are going to move it on to track 3, which is Easier, and let's hop into it. Saxophone, I didn't even mention that in the reaction, but that was so sick.
Oh, it's so easy to forget myself. I forget myself when I'm down. Oh, how I wish it could be someone else. Just be someone else for a while. It's like I'm losing at the fight. I'm lost inside my own mind. I never feel enough, and life is kinda rough. Does it ever get easier? Buried my head down in the sand. It's all part of my plan. Guess it's never getting easier. Oh, it's so easy to forget myself. I could use some help when I'm down. Oh, how I wish it could be someone else.
That doubled vocals.
Myself for a while. It's like I'm losing at the fight. I'm lost inside my own mind. I never feel enough, and life is kinda rough. Does it ever get easier? Buried my head down in the sand. It's all part of my plan. Guess it's never getting easier.
Oh, that sax solo, so riffy.
I never feel enough when love gets kind of rough. Does it ever get easier? Buried my head down in the sand. It's all part of my plan. Guess it's never getting easier. I never feel enough, and life is kind of rough. Does it ever get easier?
Oh, the song just hits, man. All right, guys, that was track 3, Easier. I enjoyed this one a lot. I think upon first listen, I don't know if I was necessarily stoked about this song, to be 100% transparent. It was a little bit more poppier than I was expecting, especially considering I was on such a high after Something Good. And I think that was just like the momentum of that song just carried me over into this song. But now after listening to this again, beating this song into the ground very similarly to the next song we'll listen to after this, Something Good, I've learned to appreciate this song a lot more. I think the reason I just love it a lot more now is I think the melodies just really stick out that much more in this track. I think it's just the hooks. There's something about this song that just ropes you in, and it's something about like the maybe the lyrical structure or like the pattern of the music, but it just like subconsciously it just kind of ticks all the boxes for me. Like there's something about it with just the way that Jacob just kind of does like some of the hooks in this track are really infectious, especially in that chorus. I think that's probably the most moment of the song where I'm like, oh, this just feels right, you know? So I think that was kind of the coolest part about it. Again, I love the fact that they are utilizing that sort of big sound of the choruses with having like either an 8-string or a baritone guitar work in that. I think it just accentuates that large, massive chorus sound that I think you come to love if you know Superlove long enough, or as long as I've known them for. I think that's something that you kind of find that similarity to as well. Something I didn't point out in the reaction video that I did see on their Instagram was that there were some really cool sax parts in the song. They got one of their buddies to do some sax work on this track, and it sounds dynamite. Like there's something about it that, again, I don't know. Anytime a band includes saxophone in their music, I think it just crushes. That might be a hot take, but I genuinely like when saxophones just absolutely shredded in a song. And then I didn't realize in that pre-bridge where there is a little bit of saxophone in that part, and then it leads into that really cool guitar solo. Super tight. Really enjoyed that as well. But yeah, this one was just a fun track. I think it really gets you hooked on the band. I tried to show this to people that aren't really a fan of like heavier music, you know. I think it really hits that stride point between like really just I would say it's like pop on steroids, you know. It's like you can tell that there's a lot of great hooks and a lot of great melodies going on here, but then it's like with the guise of like really chunky guitar work, and I love that. That's the thing that I just mentioned a lot in talking with them, was that I love the way that they kind of blend metalcore and just heavy music with like the pop sort of like styling and thought process, because I think it just makes the listening experience more pleasant, because it's two sides of the coins that I personally love, and I think there's a good amount of people that love pop music but also love heavy music. So if you do like a combination of those two things, this band I think you should really check out. But loved Easier, really fun track, and again I'm gonna stick with some of my new sentiments about this track, which is I think this one is an absolute banger. Definitely a sleeper track. I will say it takes a while for you to kind of build up to that moment, but once you get to it, it's like, ooh, it's like butter, you know. So I love it. So shout outs to Easier for being the underrated GOAT of this album so far. I mean, again, we still got a fair bit of songs to listen to, so I'm very excited to delve into more. But we are going to move it on to track 4, which is Something Good. This is the last of the 3 singles that were released. I know that they are also releasing a music video for, I believe it's Overdrive, and that's coming out technically a little later today, so you can check that out if you feel so inclined to. But let's get into the final of the singles that we've listened to thus far, if you've been following Superlove. If not, this is track 4, Something Good, off of Follow Noise. Let's give it a listen. Oh, every time.
I wanna tell you something today has left me feeling nothing, and I don't know where to go when you're not with me. 'Cause I'm alone on the phone, makes me wanna sing. You smile and that's when I go. You are the ones that you know. With you I'm never alone. Wherever we go, yeah, you make it whole. So tell me something good tonight. Everything will be alright. 'Cause I
so sick. Such a good song. That like synth, I like this. I'm not gonna lie, I felt like this song was going to be like the last song on the album just because the way that it faded out. But delightfully surprised as it's not the final song on the album. But if you're just tuning in, this was track 4 off of Superlove's new album, Follow Noise. You can check the links below. If you'd like to pick it up, go do it. Support the boys. I love these guys. So very excited to release the interview when it comes out. Should be out later this month, so hopefully you're excited as I am, because I was stoked. But getting into something good, I love the dynamics of this. I think this also harkens back to their previous album, Colors, in that way. It reminds me of Think About You. It reminds me of some of their older material where I think it combines this really interesting cross section of pop music where they incorporate a lot of synth and like layering going on in the song. I think they utilize their skills in terms of like production value. This one kind of felt like that perfect combination of melodies that are like synth or like vocals or just kind of interesting layering pieces going on in this track, mixed with like some really kind of progressive like metalcore riffs that you just absolutely love. Like some of the like ghost notes in the drumming, like some of the ways that the fills work that Tom was just slamming down. It just kind of works out in this like harmonious way that every time that I listen to this song, I think I get just extra hype about listening to it. I would argue I probably listened to this one the most out of the 3 singles. I did really like Go a lot, and I think that Easier is definitely up there more in terms of my listening time, but I think Something Good, I spent so much time listening to this song. It's not even funny. Just because I think that the melodies are really cool, the way that they're lined up, some of the ways that they some of the ways that they layered the vocals in this track were really sick too. Especially in that bridge and that last chorus of the song, really just kind of, I feel like Jacob's really just sending it in that last chorus, and you just gotta love it. So I think for me personally, this one was just absolutely a vibe, and I already knew that this was going to be a very strong contender for one of my favorite songs off the album. So I'm going to very much put this at number 1 right now, followed by You. But the jury is still not out on my verdict picks yet, so I want to go through all the album, and then I'll finally laid down my favorite tracks from this album. But yeah, something good rips, the heaviness, the melodicness, the punchiness, the cool synth parts. There was just like really a lot wrapped into this song, and the way that they were kind of able to just work everything out super well. Just I think they crushed. So this one, absolute vibe. Would highly recommend listening to this song. This was my personal pick. So if you are into a little bit more of the heavier stuff, then this should be your vibe. So we are going to get into the next song. I don't know why I said Sean. I guess because of the interview. But track 5, the next song is Lifeline. So this one's a new one. I haven't listened to this one. So I'm hyped. All these songs going further are all new ones. So I hope you're hyped. I am. What a vibe.
Called you on the drive home. Said that it won't be long.
Ooh, interesting.
You're back in my arms, 'cause that is where you belong. Yeah, we can make it.
Ooh, that like almost like yodel kind of thing.
By your side, I could never say goodbye. Only one thing on my mind. You turn the rain into sunshine. If I fall, you are my
This is a vibe.
and I need the love.
It almost feels a little like Dan Camino-y.
Get by, 'cause sometimes it's hard to. I try but can't quite find the words away. The best.
You needed like a soft landing after something good, to be fair.
A moment feels like a day. Yeah, we can make it. It's no lie. Life is better by your side. I could never say goodbye. Only one thing on my mind. You turn the rain into sunshine. If I fall, then you are my lifeline, and I need the love that surrounds you.
This is gonna be a sleeper track, I'm feeling it.
Sometimes it's hard to. You turn the rain into sunshine. If I fall, then you are my lifeline.
I love that lyricism.
That surrounds you.
my heart.
To get by, 'cause sometimes it's hard to.
Ooh, a little horse?
Sometimes it's hard to.
Why is this a whole ass vibe? Why?
You turn the rain into sunshine. If I fall, then you are my lifeline, and I need the love that surrounds you to get by, 'cause sometimes it's hard to. You turn the rain into sunshine. If I fall, then you are my lifeline, and I need the love that surrounds you to get by, 'cause sometimes it's hard to. Life is better when we're together. Life is better when we're together. You turn the rain into sunshine. If I fall, then you are my lifeline, and I need the love that surrounds you to get by, 'cause sometimes it's hard to.
Oh, that was great. All right, guys, that was track 5, Lifeline, off of Superlove's new album, Follow Noise. This one was good. I think this one's gonna be a sleeper. You know, like I think this one especially after listening to something good and you get into this like real high. You know, this is like a nice song that kind of just like take you in a nice decline. You know, it calms the mood a little bit. It's a completely different vibe. I would say it's even softer than Easier. But there was something about this song that just inherently, like, as soon as it started playing, I was like, the melodies on this track are on point. I just think that this shows how much depth that goes into their music process, because there's so much deep layering going on in this track. There's some like really cool like twinkly sort of parts. There's like some horns. Like the layering vocally is really interesting as well. just like the whole song just had this really nice kind of like lush feel to it. It almost like had like a pop sort of shoegazy sort of feel to it. It was really like ambient and ethereal, but like in the nicest of ways. Like it almost had like a lo-fi-ish kind of quality to it, without really, I would say, like, without sounding like really like crushed. It just has this sort of just like really serene, like soft feeling to it, and I really enjoyed that, because again, juxtaposition wise, something good is a little bit more in your face, is a little bit more aggressive, and to have a song that kind of counteracts that and has more of a balance to it, you just love to see it. I think that also shows really great songwriting as well too, because or I guess more specifically song placement, because you're just like, oh man, like maybe they don't want another heavy song after that, and I think it just kind of gives you a good like variation. You're going through the motions, and you're really feeling that changeover. So really enjoyed this song a lot. I think this highlights a lot of just Jacob's kind of like mid to low range, which I really enjoy. It kind of has this sort of warmth to it as well, that I think really makes the song interesting and fun, as well as that. Just loved the like guitar work, and everything just kind of felt like, it just felt like more like it just felt like more melodic in that way. It almost felt like kind of a follow-up to maybe If I Could Tell You, where it's got more of that, like, again, softer, like electrono pop kind of feel to it. And I just enjoyed this one. I will say that it is kind of like a change up in the mix, but it's well worth it. And I think having it be smack dab in the middle of the album, I think is really tight as well too. But yeah, I enjoyed this one a lot. I think this one is going to be a sleeper song, certainly on this album. I am well assured that I'll be listening to this album a ton, and I think as I listen to the album, I'm gonna fall more in love with this song. So don't be surprised if I'm just singing this song a ton in my free time. So we are going to move it on to track 6, which is Upside Down. So let's give it a listen. Cool drum intro. Ooh. What is this, rip?
Rush of blood to the head, both feet slow to the ceiling. What a mess that I'm in. When did my world stop turning? So I put the words to
What? This is what happened. Oh, this chorus smacks. This was gnarly. Kudos, Jonathan. This is so diverse. Nice layering. The falsetto and the head voice. This is so interesting.
I
Yeah, this is tight. This beginning riff is tight. I gotta say, that riff was so hard. That one went so hard. Guys, Upside Down, track 6 from Superlove, their new album, Follow Noise. Check the links below. I didn't know what to think about this one. I'm gonna be honest. That big hitting riff shook me. It shook me to the core. I liked it a lot. Very sick. I like that kind of like whammy, like, you know, that whammy type effect. Really interesting. Then it got to the verse, and I was like, okay, what are they doing? I don't, like, they completely threw me off track. And then, oh, they hit you with that chorus, man. Let me tell you what, that chorus is so damn catchy. Oh, I was just vibing, having a good time. This one, I feel like, is that song that you just put on, you roll your windows down, you crank the volume up, and you just let everyone know in your fucking vicinity that you're listening to Superlove. That's what I'm going to be doing this summer. So if you live in Pennsylvania, you see me, you know I'm going to be jamming this song a ton. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one a lot. That chorus was really sold me. I think that the layering going on in that was super, super wicked. The breakdown, what? I was not expecting that either. That was so sick and completely just like, I had a feeling like deep in my soul, I was like, maybe they might hit me with a sick breakdown, and they did. So I'm glad that they just rocked it with that track. I think that this one just initially, I was like, what are they doing? But then by the time the song was over with, I was just like, I want more. Like, I just want more riffs. Like, give me more riffs. And so I'm excited to delve into this one a little bit more as I go through and listening to it. But for a first walkthrough, I think this one was really, really tight. The vocal layering going on in this track, I think, is even something to just kind of like mention, but like the mountain of trying to mention it is going to be so difficult. But yeah, this one rips. I love the kind of beefy, chunky riffs, and the chorus almost gave me like a 4 Year Strong sort of vibe. Any way, shape, or form, kind of that their album that I feel like a lot of people didn't like from them. It kind of gave me that sort of vibe, and I go back and listen to that album a lot, and I like that one a ton too. So just kind of gave me that like almost easy core sort of vibe to it, and you know your boy's an easy core kid, so I love that. And this one was just fun. I couldn't help but just have a smile on my face the entire time listening to this track and just really vibing out. So this one very similarly to Lifeline, I think this would also be a pretty underrated track, and this is riff central here, so I'm digging it. So we are going to move it on to track 7, which is Overdrive. So let's give this bad boy a spin.
Disconnect, you know the world is such a wreck. Living with no plan of action, dying just to feel alive. Spin around inside of my
This gives me like a Don Brogo feel.
pushing into overdrive.
This is nuts.
Thinking about the things
The low end on this track is wild.
Living with no plan of action, dying just to feel alive. Spinning around inside a moment, rushing into overdrive. Rushing into overdrive, just to feel alive.
Ooh. Yeah, let's go. I like this kind of like straight synth beat.
Living with no plan of action, dying just to feel alive. Spinning around inside a moment, rushing into overdrive. Rushing into overdrive, just to feel
That high note. All right, let's go, Jake. Oh my God, the beef, guys. That was track 7, Overdrive from Superlove. Oh, this was mental. The low end on this track is insane. I don't know if this is my guess, and if Jonathan wants to comment on this, because I imagine eventually they'll get around to watching this. I'm curious if this is like 7-string and then like drop tuned, like with the drop pedal, because that's what it sounds like from what I could gather. Because that low end was like thick with 5 C's, so it almost felt like the guitars and the bass melded into this just like conglomerate of like thick tones. So I was really digging deep with this one. So this one was really fun. I think if anything, it gave me a strong like Don Broco vibe, especially like the first album, like Technology. It also gave me a little bit of like Priorities. I just think it gave me that sort of that Don Broco kind of vibe. And I think if you like Don Broco, there's a very, very good chance you're gonna love Superlove, because shit, I mean, I'll tell you what, they're both from the UK. Don Broco, Superlove tour, that'd be kind of sick. I'd be about it. I would go see that. I'd fly to the UK to go see that, 100%. But yeah, I think it's got some really great like thick tones to the song. But also I want to mention that Jacob's vocals crushed on this song. I think the coolest thing was just like, again, I know I keep saying it a lot, but the vocal layering going on in this track was just insane. I think just their attention to detail in terms of the song structure and how much layering goes into the tracks and how they're kind of like arranged out. I don't want to discredit them at all, because I think there's a lot of strength going on in their songwriting and the way that the songs just have this insane amount of power behind them. But yeah, the vocal layering going on in that chorus was really tight, especially getting into that like higher note towards that last portion of the chorus. That was a pretty high note, so that's really impressive. And then overall, just had this really great kind of like fun, dancey sort of feel to it. Just was an overall like enjoyable song from front to back. I'm very excited to delve into this one a little bit more. I think just this whole album thus far, just listening through to it just once is really not going to give me that satisfaction, but I know I have to do it for the sake of doing this. So if there's any other comments I'll make, I'll probably put them in the comments after I'm done listening to this album for a good bit. But I really enjoyed this one. Super fun, very vibey, and again, strong Don Broco feels with this one. So if you like Don Broco, you're going to like Superlove. So we are going to move it on to track 8, which is Change Your Mind. So let's give it a listen. Ooh. that the synth and the guitar match up. That's sick.
Yeah, we were off the track. Said things we can't take back.
Ooh.
Don't always wasting me. Another memory. Maybe we crossed the line. Could we go back in time? Could I change your mind?
Ooh.
Running out of time. Yeah,
This one's a great one too.
losing light. Please don't let it die.
Oh. What?
Your picture on the wall. Maybe I should call.
I like that, like the delayed guitar part. Super sick.
Feels only yesterday. But I was close to you. If I only knew. Could I change your mind? Running out of time. Yeah, we're losing light. Please don't let it die. Could I change your mind? Replay the moments in time they are frozen. Replay the moments in time they are frozen. Replay
Interesting build up.
in time they are frozen. Could I change your mind?
Ooh. Interesting.
Out of time, yeah, we're losing light. Please don't let it die. Could I change your
Oh, that riff was super tight. Guys, that was track 8, Change Your Mind. I enjoyed this one a lot. It was a little bit more, it was a little different. I think each song has really had its own identity, and I think you gotta respect that for what it is. I really enjoyed that kind of like delayed guitar kind of effect, like riff. That was really tight. Almost has that sort of like, the edge kind of feel to it, U2, kind of that sort of vibe to it. But the songs was really interesting. I think a large highlight of this track, I would say, is Tom's drumming. Tom's drumming sounded super, super just rhythmic and super punchy. I like the kind of more progressiveness of it. It's kind of the reason why I love Something Good so much, is that like the way that he incorporates kind of ghost notes into his drum playing. I think it just goes to show that from like more of a like heavier metalcore kind of progressive sort of background that I would assume he's coming from, it gives you that sort of vibe and feeling to it. So I love the fact that that's more at the forefront of this track. But I'd also say there's a very interesting way that they structured this song out. Like it has this sort of openness to it, and I'd almost say comparatively it allows like the bass playing to be more of a focal point in this track, which I think is really cool, because I think comparatively to some of the other songs, you got a lot more like riffing from Jonathan, and I think that this song again also highlights Tom drums playing as well. But I'd also say equally as much, I think this utilizes Jacob's bass skills a little bit more, because there's obviously as Jonathan is playing more of the kind of lead guitar parts, or like, I guess, less chord phrasings and more like, okay, we're going to do more like actual like open notes sort of stuff. I think it allows for the bass to kind of sneak in some more and have more of that spotlight, which I am definitely all about. So, I think this one was definitely the most different of the songs that we've heard today. But I would say that it's not particularly a bad song. I just think that this one is, again, one that I'm going to have to give a little bit more listens to have a better idea. And I think just kind of, again, very similarly to Something Good and Lifeline, I think that Overdrive and Change Your Mind are kind of doing the same sort of counterbalance, where like Overdrive's in your face, really aggressive, really punchy out the gate, and Change Your Mind is a little bit more vibey, but has more of a prog, I would say, leaning towards it, which I think is a nice change up from the typical what you hear from Superlove. So enjoy this one a lot. I just think that this one is one that I'm gonna have to give a few more listens to feel like I have a better grasp on this song as a whole. But I think upon first listen, there was some really cool kind of like ethereal moments mixed in through this song. But I would love to hear it a little bit more and dissect it a little bit more for you, because I don't feel like one listen gave me that sort of vibe. But we are going to move it on to track number 9, which is Gut Feeling. So let's give this bad boy a listen. Oh, this is going to be a Riff City one. Ooh!
I think it's time to say something on my mind. That's been bugging me for quite some time.
That descending like vocal riff.
List of all the reasons why life don't seem right. You try to tell me what you think you wanna hear, but I don't wanna believe it. My gut feeling,
Yeah, this is it.
don't look good, feel misunderstood right now. We're speeding, heading for the ground, and we can't slow down right now. Maybe one day this will all work out. I want nothing else to think about. Just wanna put my feet up and watch the sun break through the clouds. You try to tell me what you think you wanna hear, but I don't wanna believe it. My gut feeling is it don't look good, feel misunderstood right now. We're speeding, heading for the ground, and we can't slow down right now. You gave me no good reason
Is it so good?
to ignore my gut feeling. My gut feeling.
This is so
Can't
riffy.
ignore the sound, try to drown it.
This might be my favorite one.
My gut feeling is it don't look good, feel misunderstood right now. We're speeding, heading for the ground, and we can't slow down right now. You give me no reason to ignore my gut feeling.
Oh, give me that all day, every day, baby. Love that track. Track number 9, Gut Feeling, off of Superlove's new album, Follow Noise. Oh, this was so good. It was so good. I don't know how they bring the riffs, man. Jonathan, I don't even know what to say, man. That was wicked. I love that. Also, big ups to Tom. The drumming on that was wild too. But all right, I'm gonna do my best to kind of break this one down. But this one was so on point. I love this song so much. It was Riff City, as I predicted. So fucking good. Man, this one was awesome. I think just like the descending vocal riff along with the actual descending guitar riff, and then on top of that the descending bass riff, I was in heaven. This one just stood right out of the pack and said, I am your favorite track. And I don't know, if Seasons crushes this one, I'll be very surprised, because this one immediately was infectious, throws you right in. I think it has a similar vibe to that of Something Good or like Overdrive, where it's just in your face immediately, but just like the hooks on this track just pull you in, baby, you know. And I was just really feeling this one. This one just crushed it. Jacob sounded fantastic. I love the kind of, again, the gang vocals mixed in with the track, and just kind of, again, following that sort of descending riff, really beautiful. And I think it, again, matches well with the energy of what Jake's bringing in this track. The riffs were super tight in this track, the drumming super tight in this track, the bass playing super tight in this track. I just can't say any more good things about this song. I'm running out of words. So I enjoyed this one a lot. This one's going to be a very hard one to beat. But gut feeling. I would tell you I have a gut feeling, but I did, actually. To be fair, I did have a gut feeling. So I called this one. This one was good. I enjoyed this one a lot, as you could tell. Megan said, I knew you were going to stream. Yes, I have to. Shout outs to the boys. Superlove. Love those guys. Interview will be out later this month, so I'm very stoked. But yeah, absolutely love this one. We're into the last song. I feel so sad because I just want to keep listening to this album again, but I know after this I'm gonna have to stop. So until I wake up and then do it again and listen to this album from front to back. So let's get into the final track, Seasons. So let's give it a listen. Ooh. Yes.
I feel the sun again, the rays over my skin. Oh, what a world we live in. In winter I can fight, with somewhere I can hide. The part of
This is really like beautifully melodic. I like this. Yeah, this one is snacks. Drumming on this is so cool too. Very in the pocket.
Autumn sheds its skin to see what lies within. The part of me that's missing.
Every time this chorus hits. It's almost giving me like a Forever Sickest Kids kind of vibe. a little acoustic guitar. All right, respect.
Seasons always change, but I still feel the same, and I don't have any answers. As leaves fall from the trees, the ground beneath my feet will surely guide me homeward.
That dancing drum beat. All right. That little halftime. All right. This ending's rad. I like this. All right, guys. Well, that was the final track, track number 10. This one's Seasons. This is off of Superlove's newest album, Follow Noise. Wow, what a great way to end this album. I think it all ends in like a really beautifully like melodic way. You know, they could have hit you with like a super duper like aggressive track, but I think this meshes like kind of the best culmination of what Superlove I think brings to the table as a band, which is I feel like they're just such a versatile band. Like you can go for a song that's just like more electronic focused and has a little bit more of that sort of like hyper pop sort of feel to it, and then you can go to songs like Lifeline and like this one Seasons, where it's a little bit more like indie rock and kind of again has more of those electronic layering mixed in with the track. I just think that that's kind of what sells me about this band the most, is just how diverse their musical background is and how well they're able to kind of mesh everybody's specific feelings or talents about the band in a song. Like there's something to be said about the way that they kind of had put this album together, because I think it really shows off the best parts of what Superlove brings. It's got like a cool kind of like heavier sort of moments that I think are similar to like Easier or like maybe like Upside Down in that way, where or Change Your Mind, where it has more of that like not necessarily being heavy for the sake of being heavy, but just adding a level of dynamic to the track that I think Jonathan has a very good ear to bring to the table in regards to having that sort of dynamic process when it comes down to that. I'd also say as well is Jacob too, and Tom. Feel like in that way they're kind of masterminds of figuring out dynamically how is it going to fit and how it's going to be interesting. And then I also think juxtaposed to the really dynamic choruses, I think you get really nice soft kind of ethereal, a little bit electronic, a little bit just ethereal in nature in terms of that the song structure of the track. It really brings that sort of melodic element that some of the softer songs, as I mentioned before, Lifeline, that song kind of brings to the table. It also kind of pulls moments from You as well. It just is a really nice song that I think really sums up this album very well, where you have some moments that are a little bit more punchier, a little bit more in your face, but then you also have really beautiful, quiet, almost quiet moments where it's a little bit more softer, and it allows you to kind of become more enthralled with the type of music that they're making. And I think this is such a great follow-up to Colors. I remember just spinning that album an absolute just metric fuck ton, and I loved every second of it. I think that was something that again, was one of my favorites of I think a year ago, maybe possibly a little longer than that, but that was kind of the reason why I like had already loved Superlove and listening to that EP a ton. I think going into the album, I had really high hopes that they were gonna do well, but I am here to say I think they just followed it up with an absolute banger of an album. I know that I do probably hold some biases towards Superlove just because I think they really combine a lot of elements of bands that I love right now, which is kind of, again, sticking to the heavier style of music, but also really being interested in pop and what they're able to bring to the table. And this kind of feels like the perfect storm of things where there are some heavier moments that I just absolutely love, but also brings a lot of melodic elements. And I think that as a band that I personally think is always ever changing and coming up with new material, pretty frequently, I think they are always able to bring something different to the table that I feel like other bands maybe might have a harder time kind of pulling together. And I absolutely love that about Superlove. I think that was the reason, again, why I loved Colors so much, and probably the reason why I'm just going to love this album that much, and probably going to be making it very high up on my albums of the year this year, just because I think they hit all the boxes for me personally. And I don't know if they're going to hit all the boxes for you, but I just have been in love with pop music recently, and I always have been in love with heavier music, and that's never going to change. But for my new love of pop music, I've always been trying to find that band that fits that fine narrow gap between heavy music and melodic, like poppier sort of style music. And I think Superlove really does scratch that itch for me, where they have heavy moments, but they also have really beautiful melodic moments. And this album is just a celebration of that as a band. So I enjoyed this one a lot. I would say their best work to date personally. Not that I felt like Colors was a particularly bad album, but I think comparatively, you can just hear there's just so much thought that went into this album. All 10 tracks feel like they are their own entity, but in the same way, they all fit so well on this album. And I think that that's kind of like the biggest trademark or compliment I can give to this band, is that they really, I think, honed in and found their sound. And I think this is the Superlove that I hope that every one of you go checks out, because this was a fun journey, and this is most likely going to make it up on my albums of the year list. I can already feel it. But personal favorites off the album, I'll go through 5 as I typically do. I would say Gut Feeling number 1. I probably would put... Oh, this is tough. This is such a tough song. So Gut Feeling number 1. I probably would put Something Good. This is tough. I'd probably put Upside Down next at 3. I'd probably put You at number 4. And then I would probably put Go at number 5. And then I would put Lifeline as an honorable mention. I also think... I think it could change, certainly. Overdrive was really great. Change Your Mind was also fantastic. Seasons was awesome, too. I think this was a really tough one to pick for me, personally, because I really have a lot of investment for all 3 of the singles, and it was hard to not go through the singles and enjoy those. But some of the songs that we listened to that weren't the singles, I really fell in love with upon first listen. So this one's gonna be tough. I'm gonna come back to it and probably change my options, honestly. I don't know. But yeah, I feel like it's gone without saying, but I love Superlove, and realistically they should be a band you should check out, because they're well worth your time and your love. So please go check out Superlove. Go pick up their new album, Follow Noise. Links in the description. Please go pick it up if you can purchase it. Also, if you're in the UK, I believe they are playing today, and they're playing over the weekend. They are playing with my good homies in Forager. If you live, I think, in Bristol. So if you live out there, go say what's up to both Forager and Superlove for me. So love to see you guys. And if you enjoyed this review, please like, comment, subscribe. It goes a long way. It really does help out my channel so much, and I love getting to know every single one of you. So if you could smash that like and hit that subscribe button, please be a part of the Audio Addiction fam. That would be amazing. And also, you'll be able to check this interview out when it comes out live. So very exciting. I also have some new videos to be posted in terms of reaction videos. I have a lot more content to come, some new merch, so I'm pretty stoked. So I hope you enjoy me for my never-ending journey of doing Audio Addiction. But thank you for watching. I love all you. Please go check out Superlove. Seriously, they're so rad, and I love them as a band. So please go show them some love down below in the description. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you